They sang about liquid dreams and Abercrombie and Fitch, then quietly faded into cruise tours, day jobs, and nostalgia festivals. Then there were the ones who opened for Britney, signed by Michael Jackson, or starred in their own MTV show. In this video, we're counting down 11 forgotten 90s boy bands that once had a shot at pop stardom but didn't stand the test of time. Number 11, Dream Street. If you were listening to Radio Disney in the early 2000s, It Happens Every Time probably still lives somewhere in your brain, rent-free. Dream Street hit the scene like a flashbulb, bright, loud, and aimed straight at the tween heart. Formed in 1999 by producers Louis Baldonieri and Brian Lukow, the group was built from Broadway-trained kids with powerhouse vocals and boy-next-door charm. That lineup included a pre-Beautiful Soul Jesse McCartney and the magnetic Chris Trousdale. Their debut album in 2001 was pure bubblegum gold, glossy pop hooks, synchronized outfits, and just enough edge to feel rebellious, in a homework-safe kind of way. They were mall tour royalty, with tracks like I Say Yeah and their Pokemon movie feature helping them rack up fans and magazine covers in equal measure. But behind the scenes, things weren't so squeaky clean. Less than a year after their album dropped, the members' parents sued the group's management, claiming the boys had been exposed to adult situations far from the Dream Street image. Jesse McCartney had already made his exit, and the rest tried to carry on without him, but legal contracts got in the way. By mid-2002, the dream was over. There was an attempt to reboot the group with Trousdale and a new lineup, but lightning didn't strike twice. The original members scattered, some into music, others into acting, and one into real estate. Then, in 2020, tragedy struck when Trousdale passed away at just 34. The loss brought the remaining members back together for a virtual tribute performance that hit fans straight in the heart. And in 2023, Dream Street officially returned. Greg Raposo, Matt Ballinger, and Frankie Galasso released new music in Chris's honor and stepped back into the spotlight. Not as boy banders, but as friends. Dream Street burned bright and fast, but their legacy stuck for a while, at least. Number 10, BB Mack. BB Mack didn't fit the usual boy band formula, and that was kind of the point. Hailing from Liverpool and Manchester, the trio of Christian Burns, Mark Berry, and Stephen McNally weren't just harmonizing in choreographed lines, they were strumming guitars, writing their own songs, and bringing a soft rock edge to a scene dominated by slick dance moves and matching outfits. Their breakout single, Back Here, quietly launched in the UK in 1999 with minimal buzz, but across the Atlantic, it hit like a wave. By summer 2000, it was playing on every pop station and becoming the unofficial soundtrack to teenage daydreams and long walks home after school. Their debut album Sooner or Later followed, climbing the Billboard 200 and earning gold status in the US. BB Mack became an early 2000s staple, popping up on MTV, Disney Channel, and even soap operas. They toured with Britney Spears, played packed US venues, and made it onto the Princess Diaries soundtrack, solidifying their spot in early Y2K pop culture. Their 2002 follow-up, Into Your Head, arrived with the upbeat single Out of My Heart, Into Your Head, which cracked the top 25, but the moment was already slipping. By 2003, the band quietly stepped away. Way later in 2018, BB Mack made an unexpected return. The original trio reunited, released a new album, Power Station, and got back on stage for a run of nostalgia-fueled performances. They followed it up with The Lost Tapes, a collection of unreleased tracks from their heyday. While the mainstream spotlight may have moved on, BB Mack found something better. Fans who still show up, still sing along, and still remember the first time Back Here hit them like a soft punch to the heart. Number 9, LFO. LFO didn't need to make sense, they just needed a summer. And in 1999, they owned it. I Like Girls Who Wear Abercrombie and Fitch wasn't just a lyric, it was a time capsule. That bizarrely specific line from Summer Girls launched LFO, short for Light Funky Ones, into pop history. Rich Cronin led the trio with tongue-in-cheek charm, backed by Devin Lima's smooth vocals and Brad Fichetti's easygoing energy. Their sound was half boy band, half pop rap experiment, and entirely unlike anything else on the charts. Their debut album went platinum, fueled by catchy hits like Girl on TV, a love letter to Cronin's then-girlfriend, Jennifer Love Hewitt. But lightning rarely strikes twice. Their 2001 follow-up, Life is Good, arrived just as the boy band wave was starting to break. Audiences moved on, and LFO quietly disbanded in 2002. What came next was devastating. Rich Cronin was diagnosed with leukemia and passed away in 2010 at just 36. Devin Lima, who'd stepped back into the spotlight for a brief LFO revival with Fischetti, died of adrenal cancer in 2018. Brad Fischetti remains the group's last surviving member. He now performs solo, keeping the band's music alive in tribute to his friends, often emotional, always heartfelt. For fans who blasted Summer Girls from bedroom boomboxes or tried to memorize its nonsensical rhymes, LFO wasn't just a band, they were a weird, wonderful moment frozen in time. Number 8. Five. Five came from the UK with a mission: to be the bad boys of the boy band world. They weren't trying to be sweet or cuddly. They had swagger, attitude, and a bit of chaos in their harmonies. Formed in 1997 through open auditions held by the same team that assembled the Spice Girls, Five was handpicked and signed by none other than Simon Cowell. They didn't disappoint. Their debut single slam dunk, Da Funk, was an instant hit, and by the time When the Lights Go Out hit US airwaves, Five had cracked the American market too. Their first album went multi-platinum in the UK and saw solid success abroad. Songs like Everybody Get Up and became party anthems, while their Queen cover We Will Rock You, performed live with Queen themselves, was a moment. But behind the scenes, the group was feeling the pressure. Sean Conlon had to step back due to mental and physical health issues, and injuries and exhaustion took a toll. Their third album, King Size, still delivered a UK #1 with Let's Dance, but the momentum wasn't sustainable. They officially split in 2001. Multiple reunions followed, some with 3 members, some with 4, but it wasn't until 2025 that all 5 original members came back together for a full reunion tour. They've admitted the time apart helped them reconnect as friends, not just bandmates. And while they never quite cracked the US charts again, Five left their mark with a catalog of bangers and a uniquely rowdy brand of boy band energy. Number 7, 3T. Being Michael Jackson's nephews comes with a lot of expectations. For 3T, Taj, Terrell, and TJ Jackson, that meant launching their careers under the biggest pop shadow imaginable. Their debut album Brotherhood dropped in 1995 with direct support from their legendary uncle. Michael not only co-produced the project, but appeared on tracks like Why and I Need You. The album was a huge international success, especially in Europe, where 3T became teen idols overnight. They were ready for global domination, but internal industry shakeups and label drama pushed back their next album by nearly a decade. In that time, they toured, made TV appearances, and contributed to soundtracks, but the hype had cooled. When they finally returned with Identity in 2004, the boy band boom had moved on. Since then, 3T have stayed active in music, especially overseas. They've dropped albums, played nostalgic tours, and starred in the reality show The Jacksons' Next Generation. Through it all, they've stayed grounded, probably because they were never chasing fame the same way. With vocal talent, family legacy, and a deep connection to their fans, 3T never disappeared. They just chose a different path. Number 6, another bad creation. Before B2K, before Bo, wow, there was ABC. That's another bad creation for the uninitiated. This Atlanta-based group of preteens dropped Isha and Playground in 1991 and basically took over MTV, BET, and every school talent show for the next year. Discovered and produced by Michael Bivins of Belle Biv DeVoe and New Edition fame, ABC was Motown's attempt to recreate the boy band magic, only this time with kids. And it worked for a little while. Their debut album Coolin' at the Playground You Know went double platinum, and they landed appearances on In Living Color and even in Michael Jackson's Black or White video. They were everywhere, and they were barely in middle school. That novelty factor gave them huge exposure, but it also boxed them in. By the time their second album, It Ain't What You Wear, It's How You Play It, came out in 1993, fans had moved on. The songs didn't chart, and the group quietly faded out. Still, for a hot second, ABC was the kid version of New Edition, with oversized jerseys, high-top fades, and the confidence of boys 3 times their age. They helped set the stage for youth-focused R&B and hip-hop groups that came later, and for kids in the early 90s, ABC wasn't just another bad creation, they were the creation. Number 5, No Authority. No Authority had one of the most stacked resumes of any 90s boy band, signed by Michael Jackson, backed by Madonna's Maverick label and produced by Rodney Darkchild Jerkins. That kind of star power should have launched them to the top. And for a while, it looked like it might. Formed in LA, the original lineup, Josh Keaton, Ricky Godinez, later known as Ricky Rebel, Eric Stretch, and Danny Zavatsky started out performing at local venues before their demo landed in MJ's hands. Soon they were on tour with Britney Spears and 98 Degrees. Their debut single, Don't Stop, made modest waves, and the group got a solid push from their label with slick videos and dance-heavy performances. But momentum stalled. Josh Keaton left the group and went on to a successful voice acting career. He's been Spider-Man, FYI. The remaining trio added new member Tommy McCarthy and shifted to Maverick Records, releasing the single Can I Get Your Number, which, despite being fun and flirty, didn't break through the crowded boy band market. By the time their second album came and went, the pop landscape had already moved on. The group disbanded quietly in the early 2000s. Ricky Rebel would later tour with Britney as a dancer and reinvent himself as a solo act with a glam rock flair. No Authority had all the backing in the world, but as we've seen time and again, that doesn't always guarantee staying power. Number 4. OTown. OTown was the boy band built in front of your eyes. Formed during the first season of MTV's Making the Band in 2000, this was the pop machine fully exposed. Auditions, eliminations, rehearsals, drama, you saw it all. The final lineup, Eric Michael Estrada, Trevor Pennick, Jacob Underwood, Dan Miller, and Ashley Parker Angel, was picked more like a reality show cast than a traditional music group. But somehow, it worked. Their debut single, Liquid Dreams, was goofy, awkward, and oddly catchy, with lyrics comparing the perfect girl to a Frankenstein mix of Hollywood starlets. But the follow-up, All or Nothing, showed they had legit vocal talent and gave them a real hit, peaking at number 1, 3 on the Billboard Hot 100. Their self-titled debut album sold over 3 million copies, and for a while, OTown was the face of turn-of-the-millennium pop. But the reality TV origin that gave them instant fame also came with a shelf life. Their second album, O2, took a more mature direction, but didn't connect with fans. By 2003, the group was dropped from their label and disbanded. Number 3, EYC, short for Express. Yourself Clearly, EYC was the kind of boy band that felt like they were always one step away from breaking big. Damon Butler, Trey Parker, and Dave Loeffler brought smooth harmonies, sharp dance moves, and serious polish to the early 90s scene. Unlike a lot of their peers, they weren't assembled by a label, they came up together, 2 of them meeting while dancing on New Kids on the Blocks tour. They hit the ground running in the UK, where they scored a handful of top 40 hits and became teen magazine staples. Their debut album, Express Yourself Clearly, reached the top 15 on the UK Albums Chart, and they snagged an ARIA Award in Australia for Best New International Act. They opened for Whitney Houston and Prince, performed in front of Princess Diana, and were even featured in a Dr. Pepper commercial back home. But their US breakthrough never quite happened. Despite performing on Nickelodeon, joining the Backstreet Boys Millennium Tour, and even appearing on Donnie and Marie, they never managed to crack the American mainstream. Their later albums were released only in Europe and Asia, and by the late 90s, the group had quietly disbanded. After the breakup, each member went in a different direction. Trey Parker continued performing with LA All-Stars, Damon pursued side projects, and Dave Loeffler became a manager for acts like Lionel Richie and Why Don't We? EYC had the look, the sound, and the stage presence, but sometimes the stars just don't align. Number 2, Perfect Gentleman. Before there was Boys 2, Men, or All for One, there was Perfect Gentleman. Put together by New Kids on the Block mastermind Maurice Starr, this Boston trio had every reason to succeed. They opened for NKOTB on tour, dropped a debut album in 1990 called Rated PG, and scored a legit top 10 hit with Ooh La La, I Can't Get Over You. The song was smooth, catchy, and totally radio-friendly, a classic slow jam that played at middle school dances for years. But that momentum didn't last. Despite the early buzz, their follow-up singles didn't connect the same way. Their second album came out in 1993 with a slightly revamped lineup. But by then, the music scene was shifting toward grunge, hip-hop, and R&B acts with a little more edge. Perfect Gentlemen, true to their name, were clean-cut, polished, and maybe a little too safe. After that, they disappeared from the charts and from memory. Still, for a brief moment, they were right there with the best of them. thanks to solid vocals, a talented team behind them, and a song that still gets stuck in your head the second it starts. Finally, at number 1. Together. Yes, they were fake, but not in the way you think. Together started out as a made-for-MTV parody of boy bands, poking fun at every cliché with characters like the cute one, the bad boy, and the shy one. Their first song, You Plus Me Equals Us Calculus, was a joke, but it was also a bop. Before long, people were singing along unironically. What began as a TV movie turned into a full-blown series, soundtrack, and touring group. They even opened for Britney Spears in character. Their follow-up single, The Hardest Part of Breaking Up Is Getting Back Your Stuff, actually charted on Billboard. It was wild, but Together's story turned tragic. Michael Cuccione, who played the cute one and had battled cancer before joining the group, passed away in 2001 at just 16 years old. The show ended and the band was dissolved. Years later, the surviving members tried to organize a reunion, but it never fully came together. Still, Together was more than just a parody. They captured everything fun, silly, and over the top about the boy band era. Which of these boy bands do you remember best? And which one do you wish had one more album in them? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for more nostalgic trips through the past.